Welcome back to Brawlers Broadcast. I'm Vikhyat and that's Ritik, and we are back to cover some more MMA news and talk about a few potential fights. क्या चल रहा है Ritik? How's it going, man?
बढ़िया भाई एकदम ही क्रेजी क्रेजी फाइट्स अनाउंस हो गई हैं भाई। आई एम सो एक्साइटेड फॉर सम ऑफ दीज फाइट्स। काफ़ी क्रेजी डेना वाइट भाई रैंडमली आता है और भाई सर पे बम फोड़ देता है भाई सबके।
Dana White is ready to kill everybody with the announcements,
सही में भाई
and
अलग ही
one of the
हाइप्ड है।
biggest announcements is Khamzat versus Robert Whittaker. Amazing fight. Finally, we get to see Khamzat compete in his weight class, I would say, and also against very truly tried and tested
हम्म।
former champion of the weight class. So, what was the reaction here when this fight was announced?
भाई मतलब दिस इज पता है क्या वन ऑफ दी दिस इज वन ऑफ देम फाइट्स जो तुम ना हमेशा सोचते हो कि भाई ये फैंटेसी मैचअप्स टाइप में सोचते हैं कि भाई जैसे वी ऑल टॉक अबाउट क्या होता जीएसपी से उस्मान अगर होता तो। एंड इट सीम्ड लाइक कि जिस तरीके से हमजाद लड़ नहीं रहा था कि मुझे लग रहा था कभी होगी ही नहीं फाइट हमजाद वर्सेस विटेकर। मैं हमेशा से ना पिछले 2-3 साल से मैं बस दो फाइट्स के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा डिस्परेट रहा हूँ। एक है हमजाद वर्सेस विटेकर और दूसरी है उस्मान वर्सेस विटेकर। एंड इसका रीज़न ये है कि मेरे को लगता है कि विटेकर इज़ द एब्सोल्यूट वर्स्ट मैचअप फॉर बोथ ऑफ दीज गाइज because we have seen how dominant Usman at least was in the last over the last 5-6 years, and Hamzat भी has been dominant, quite dominant, let's say उस्मान से पहले तक। तो भाई मतलब मैं हमेशा से देखना चाहता था कि इसकी फाइट इनकी फाइट विटेकर के साथ कैसी होगी। समवन हु हैज़ एलीट रेसलिंग, एलीट टेक डाउन डिफेंस, बट एट द सेम टाइम टॉप टियर स्ट्राइकिंग एज वेल। नॉट ऑन इजीज लेवल मे बी बट स्टिल लाइक ए
Hmm.
टियर प्रॉपर ए टियर स्ट्राइकिंग एंड ए टियर रेसलिंग। भाई मतलब वो तो देखने के लिए मैं एकदम डेस्परेट हूँ। द फैक्ट दैट दैट फाइट गॉट अनाउंस्ड भाई आई एम सो हैप्पी। लाइक मेरे को ये चीज़ आई एम सो लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू इट। व्हाट डिड यू थिंक मैन?
What did I think? I thought that finally Hamzat has that one true match that could potentially add that one in front of the zero that he has right now. This
ट्रू।
this could potentially be the match. And looking back at that Usman fight and how a lot of people, including myself, have the narrative that had it gone for another two rounds, Usman would have really showed him what it is to be a champion,
या
right? Those
या
championship rounds could have definitely led to a finish for Usman. That's how the bookies had it, and that's how even I thought it would have gone. So the fact that he's taken up this fight against Robert Whittaker,
या
it could go either way. I mean, I feel this is a genuine make or break fight for Hamzat. He beats Whittaker and it's all glory. Title shot is clearly the next thing for him against Dricus, and he loses to him, and it doesn't dent his record, to be very honest, because he lost to clearly the much better and the much tested fighter in the division. But I
दैट्स द
think it's the time he takes a fight like that
आई
against a guy as skilled as.
by one thing that I will say about Hamzat, which sort of contrary to the general opinion by the public, I'm a bit on the other side of it. Like I think Hamzat, I actually respect Hamzat a lot for taking these fights because when you think about it, some of the dominant fighters that we have seen over time, uh, let's say, and I mean no disrespect to any of these fighters, a lot of times these fighters they do not end up fighting the most dominant guy, the scariest guy. And in Hamzat's case, who has he fought? He fought Gilbert Burns, who was de facto the hardest matchup for anyone in the division at that point in time. Now he's a bit older. I get it. It happens with everyone, right? But at that point in time, he was the most difficult fight for anyone in the division. He dropped Gilbert Burns dropped Usman thrice or twice, I believe, twice in the fight that he had. Although he got finished in the round after that, but मतलब उस बंदे ने सबको टफ फाइट दी अभी तक। तो उससे लड़ा पहले हमजा, ठीक है। देन while it was a short notice fight for Usman, let's be real भाई, short notice fight तो वो हमजात के लिए भी थी, ठीक है। एंड भाई पोलो
Right.
कोस्टा से तुम सीधा उस्मान पे आ रहे हो। टू वेरी डिफरेंट स्टाइल्स, मतलब बिल्कुल ही डिफरेंट साइज्ड ओपोनेंट्स। वन इज लाइक अ लॉट बिगर दैन द अदर वन, वन इज लॉट टॉलर। लाइक आई बिलीव कोस्टा इज अ बिट टॉलर टू दैन उस्मान। सो वो भी इंप्रेसिव चीज़ है व्हाट ही डिड टू उस्मान। सो ही इज टेकिंग दिस डिफिकल्ट फाइट्स। सो मेरे हिसाब से तो काफ़ी इंप्रेसिव चीज़ है। Whittaker, who the fuck wants to fight Whittaker in that division? No, nobody wants to fight Whittaker in that division, man. Like, I mean, yeah, obviously they're competitors, so they would end up fighting Whittaker. But if they had an option to fight someone else in the division, they would definitely take it. If they're not named Izzy or maybe Dricus. So So yeah, I mean, I respect Hamzat big time for taking this matchup. And again, it's one of those things, because we have had this crazy expectation from Hamzat शुरू से ही कि हमें लगता है कि भाई एकदम ही dominant fighter है वो, and he is some sort in some sense dominant, ठीक है, but because he has fought these killers वो चीज़ थोड़ी नीचे आ गई है now. A lot of people are not believing in him उतना ज़्यादा कि भाई क्या ये सच में उस लेवल का है जो हमने सोचा था, बिकॉज जब वो आया था गिलबर्ट से पहले सबको लगता था अनटचेबल है भाई ये बंदा, अब वो चीज़
Hmm.
चली गई है उसके बारे में, बट उसका रीज़न भी यही है बिकॉज ही हैज़ फॉट दोज किलर्स, इसीलिए
That's
है
true.
ऐसा वो. So it's I
That's
don't mind if he loses to Whittaker. I mean, in my eyes, he's still a great fighter, even if he loses to Whittaker. I mean, there's no shame in losing to Whittaker. Like, come on.
there's no shame at all, yeah. I mean, I always say this. I've said this in the previous videos as well. If a guy can go toe to toe with UL Romero for 50 minutes, then उस बंदे को तो मौत से भी डर नहीं लगता.
And
It's as simple
beat
as
him
that.
both the times.
Beat him both the times, of course.
Yeah.
So again, what you're saying is not wrong, but
Hmm.
at the same time, I think Hamzat needs to realize that what he did to Leach, and with all due respect to Leach,
Hmm.
picking him up and putting him down, and did he submit him? Right, he submitted him.
Yeah, yeah. Choked him out.
He,
Choked him to sleep, man.
yeah, so he can't really do that to
Yeah, for sure.
the elite guys when he gets there. So he could barely take down Usman. I mean, ठीक है, barely might not be the right word, but he
Hmm.
eventually got there. It was far tougher than it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
because respect to Usman, 100% TDD for a very long time in the
It's
UFC.
the crazy size difference too, man. Like Usman and
Uh,
Whittaker are like really big in size compared to someone like Leach.
yeah.
Yeah.
If he wins this, if he wins this, it's a genuine poster boy moment for the UFC.
बिल्कुल भाई.
Uh, I believe he's already started training out of Dubai. He's some sort of a resident of Dubai at this point.
Hmm.
So let's say Islam Makhachev retires a few fights down the line.
Hmm.
Khamzat Chimaev is the next big guy
Hmm.
who takes
True,
over
true,
the
true.
throne, and the Middle East market is all sitting on his shoulder. He
बिल्कुल
has
भाई बिल्कुल.
the pay-per-view points, he has the flair, he has the stardom, he has the
Yep, yep,
following,
yep.
and he's defeated Whittaker to top it off.
एक और बंदा है जो रिक्लेम करने की कोशिश कर रहा है भाई अपना पोस्टर बॉय स्टेटस, वो है इजी, who is going to fight Dricus.
Of
So hyped for
course.
that fight, man. Bhai, the only thing I'm a bit bummed about is that it's not going to happen in Africa. Because भाई वो होती रियल फाइट, ठीक है, वो होती, वो फाइट होती कि भाई not to decide who's the king of Africa but for the prince of Africa, because we all know king of Africa is Mike Perry. तो वो
Yeah,
तो पता ही है हमें.
that's true.
तो भाई काफ़ी क्रेजी फाइट होती है अफ्रीका में. आई डोंट नो व्हाट प्लान्स द यूएफसी हैज़ फॉर अफ्रीका. आई फील अ बिट it's a bit sad also because when you think about it, all these African champs not champs anymore.
Not
काफी
champs anymore. I was
कितना
about
ज्यादा
to say.
हाइप था भाई 2020 से लेकर 2023 तक, मतलब इन तीनों का हाइप इतना ज्यादा. दैट विल बिन द बेस्ट टाइम टू हैव अ कार्ड इन अफ्रीका. नॉट श्योर कि क्या
UFC.
रीजंस हैं. आई एम श्योर होगा कुछ ना कुछ वैलिड रीजन ही होगा जिसकी वजह से नहीं हो पा रही कार्ड वहाँ पे. बट हाँ, आई थिंक दे सॉर्ट ऑफ स्टिल फंबल्ड इट अगेन अ बिट,
Hmm.
क्योंकि कर सकते थे अभी भी ड्राइकर्स का. साउथ अफ्रीका इज बिग, मतलब काफी वहां पे तुम कर सकते हो साउथ अफ्रीका में.
Bro, the
वो.
last time I honestly remember Dana White speaking about the Africa card was
हम्म.
when Ngannou beat Cyril Gane very handily, which
Yeah,
was 1.5, 2 years ago.
that's
And at
true.
that time, he spoke about potential places in Africa being Rwanda or Cameroon. But
Hmm.
I think, given the fact that this entire African syndicate of champions has collapsed and
And
Ngannou left the
yeah,
UFC
I
now.
that's the main thing. I believe Ngannou leaving the UFC was the final nail on the coffin,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
when you think about it, it's actually Ngannou who's the Ngannou truly is an African, right? He was born and
mm,
brought up there. Like unlike
yeah,
Izzy or Usman, वो वहीं पे भाई बड़ा हुआ, and he's the most popular guy in Africa compared to, even though Izzy is recognized as a bigger star maybe, but Ngannou is the bigger star in Africa at least. तो वो उसका जाना was a very big deal. Yeah.
that's true. But moving on from Africa, we're to another continent altogether. This is in Australia, Oceania, Perth,
Yeah.
UFC 305, and still speculated card hai. Not sure if this
Hmm.
is going to happen. And in a way, वैसे Whittaker has expressed some sort of displeasure that he's getting to fight for the belt.
हाँ.
But
Understandable.
understandable and ठीक है, it is what it is. I mean, if the fight happens, it's a good fight because it has very little history to it, but it has history. These two guys have squared off in the octagon before,
Hmm.
so I don't mind. I'm not complaining. I think if anything, this makes the division more interesting
True.
because Whittaker could probably be the next guy. Hamzat could be the next guy. If Dricus ends up losing, तो क्या होता है? Strickland is already in the picture, who's beaten Adesanya handily once. So this just makes the division very interesting, in my opinion. But that being said, यार, what do you think happens in the fight?
भाई यार पता है क्या, इट्स अगेन वन ऑफ दोज फाइट्स। पता है एक तो यार ये डीडीपी के फाइट्स को प्रिडिक्ट करना इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट। एज विटेकर सेड, इट कुड ईदर बी अ मास्टर क्लास बाय इजी और इट्स डीडीपीज ऑकवर्ड स्टाइल दैट गेट्स हिम द डब्ल्यू। बट देन यही
Yeah.
दो ऑप्शंस हैं हर डीडीपी की फाइट में, डीडीपी की किसी भी फाइट में यही होता है। मतलब या तो पॉसिबिलिटी है कि सामने वाला एकदम ही मास्टर क्लास दे या फिर वही। तो भाई मतलब आई थिंक आई व्हाट आई पर्सनली थिंक इज कि, and this might be a hot take, but I believe Izzy has. This is not a hot take that Izzy has never been tested truly by an elite grappler. I don't think he has
Hmm.
ever been tested by an elite grappler. The best he has fought is Derek Brunson, who is not even truly a grappler. He's a wrestler. He's a big time wrestler. That I agree. But he has almost no submission threat, right? Or no cardio to back it up. तो भाई this will truly be the test. And Whittaker is again, Whittaker is not going for subs. He was never trying to sub. He is. I don't think he's ever tried to sub anyone among the
Yeah.
elite fighters. So so yeah, I think this is the real test in terms of his grappling. We saw what DDP did to Whittaker, like the way DDP threw him down literally. Like
Hmm.
जिस तरीके से बंदे ने literally मतलब हेडेड आर्म थ्रो जो किया था उसे, भाई वो काफ़ी क्रेजी चीज़ थी। तो मेरे हिसाब से काफ़ी बड़ा टेस्ट होगा इजी की ग्रैपलिंग का। इन टर्म्स ऑफ
Hmm.
स्ट्राइकिंग आई एम नॉट श्योर। अगर अगर डीडीपी ने किसी भी तरह से उसे टेक डाउन कर लिया, ग्राउंड पे ले गया, आई थिंक डीडीपी विंस फ्रॉम देयर ऑन। बिकॉज आई डोंट थिंक इजी हैज़ एवर बिन टेस्टेड दैट वे, एंड इजी को उतना ज़्यादा उसको मौका मिला, एक्सपीरियंस मिला है ग्राउंड पे अपने आप को सबमिशन से बचाने का। तो मेरे को लगता है कि अगर ग्राउंड पे गया तो भाई डीडीपी विल फिनिश इजी। बट एट द सेम टाइम इफ इजी समहाउ मैनेजेस टू स्टफ द फर्स्ट फ्यू टेक डाउन्स, तब तो
Hmm.
भाई काफ़ी डिफिकल्ट फाइट हो सकती है डीडीपी के लिए। बिकॉज यू नो व्हेन इट कम्स टू काउंटर्स, राइट, वी सॉ हाउ Sean did have a lot of success on his feet
Yeah.
against DDP, right?
Yeah.
But is he, when it comes to counters, because DDP will keep pushing, like he'll keep pushing the pace and he'll keep progressing forward. So Izzy is the best counter striker, right, in the UFC. So वो चीज़ काफ़ी ज़्यादा dangerous हो सकती है. Other than that, yeah, there's one thing that's going on for DDP, which is if he keeps constantly, faking those takedowns and just giving him different looks, that overhand right could be crazy for DDP because he's very very powerful. Like even though his striking is not as polished, he's got a lot of power. Like he packs a lot of power. So yeah.
यार मैं ना UFC 243 के बारे में सोच रहा हूँ, विटेकर वर्सेस आदेसान्या, एंड it's really been a while, तो that fight is not fresh in my mind. But as far as I remember, wi- before Whittaker got finished, he tried to make the fight ugly, and eventually that left hook came from under and he
Their
got
first
slapped.
fight in their first fight.
Right, sorry, in the first fight,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
When Izzy became the champ.
Yeah.
And I also see Dricus as the kind of guy who is interested in getting up close, making the fight ugly. So it favors Adesanya, yes, for sure. But I also feel that in this fight, Dricus ko thoda, he has to kind of calm his balls down and,
Yeah.
approach it in a very strategic way. Because if you look at the Sean Strickland and Izzy fight, I think Strickland had just figured out that sweet spot where he could bother Izzy, avoid the counter, and get out after
Yeah. Yeah.
punching Izzy. And I think that was very commendable. I mean, doing that to a guy like Izzy, being technical with Izzy and beating him is like a
True.
feat in itself because that guy is at the epitome of being technical, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting either way.
I mean,
And
भाई अगर इसी चैंपियन बन गया and Hamzat somehow manages to beat Rob, or Whittaker beats Hamzat, like it could be
yeah,
a
either
third fight
way.
between Izzy and Whittaker. That would
Uh,
be sick as well.
with
Yeah.
a by the way, with a very different context, bro, because now Izzy has also tasted a loss at middleweight,
True, true,
which
true.
which impacts your mentality in
Yeah,
some
sure,
way
sure,
or
sure, sure. And a lot of people, thought the second fight was a lot closer than what it was made to look like. And I personally thought Whittaker won that fight. I mean,
yeah.
it could be a hot take, but yeah, a lot of people thought Whittaker won. Yeah.
It was a split decision as far as I
Yeah, yeah,
remember.
it was, it was, it was.
Pretty close fight.
Very close
So
fight, yeah.
I mean, it could be now, yeah. And who knows? Maybe Whittaker puts on a technical masterclass and he beats Izzy, yeah.
That would be sick to watch.
But Oh man, if Hamzat faces Izzy, bhai, fuck. Imagine,
भाई
imagine, bhai.
भाई बस मुझे तो पता नहीं every time I picture that fight and it's not it does not have to do with the fact कि Izzy looks like Holland but I just see it going down exactly like that जैसे हमजाद ने केविन हॉलैंड के साथ किया था मुझे लगता है कि exactly वैसे ही करेगा Izzy के साथ पता नहीं क्यों
Oh,
but there's a big possibility though who knows.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But moving on from possibilities, man.
Hmm.
Joaquin Buckley, who had a good win over Vicente Luque this week, slept him, if I recall right, is eyeing for Gilbert Burns. So great striker versus striker matchup. What do you think about it?
यार
That's
uh,
almost planning to move up 5 places. He's 11th, and Gilbert Burns is sixth in the division, right? Huh.
yeah by the problem is I just do not think Buckley is elite man like have you seen his fight versus Chris Curtis? I mean, he got outclassed so badly by Chris Curtis, and
Mhm.
honestly, I don't even rate Chris Curtis that highly. The thing with these guys are like these are the CEO of mids. Firstly, like, like they're always in that 12 to 15 ranking. They're always fighting those guys or unranked guys. And Buckley का मेरे को बस हमेशा ऐसा लगता है because even in this win, like if you saw round one, he wasn't
Mhm.
doing anything like he wasn't doing anything good I suppose I'd rather put it that way तो ये जो विसेंटे लूके पहली बात तो आई एम सो पिस्ड ऑफ कि भाई विसेंटे लूके का अप्रोच मेरे को अब समझ नहीं आता मेरे को उस बंदे के बारे में मेरे को लगता है कि इफ आई डोंट नो इफ यू रिमेंबर द सीक्वेंस द फिनिशिंग सीक्वेंस
Mhm.
he grabbed onto Buckley Vicente Luque and पीछे जाके बैठ गया एंड ही हैड हिम इन लाइक his full guard एंड वहां से कुछ किया भी नहीं ही डिडंट इवन ट्राई टू गेट अप मतलब हिप्स पे था आपने हिप्स पे था इट वाज relatively easier for him to get up he didn't even try to do it all he did was lay on his back and eat shots and I'll be honest, most of those shots landed by Buckley, half of them weren't even accurate until the last few shots, obviously. So I just don't think firstly, I think Vicente Luque is washed. Like he's completely done. I just do not see anything from him that's, you know, that says to me कि हाँ भाई ये बंदा आगे जाके लड़ सकता है अच्छा और भी लगता ही नहीं भाई बंदे के अंदर मोटिवेशन है so this win does not impress me at all I'll be honest even though he got the finish good for him it did not impress me and speaking of Gilbert Burns, I think he needs to take some rest, bro. After the way he got knocked out, I just hope they don't fight anytime soon because we won't get the best version of Burns versus the best version of Buckley. So
That's
I want
that's
that. Like I want the best versions of them fighting. And I think if I had to pick one guy, I would definitely pick Gilbert to win the fight. Yeah, for sure. He's more
and
experienced, more skilled in every single
for
department.
the better guys, for
Hmm.
the better guys, much better guys.
Yeah.
By no means can anyone call Gilbert Burns washed because Burns has been fighting absolute
Yeah,
killers.
yeah,
Yeah,
and he was winning against JDM like
exactly,
up
he
until
was.
that knee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the last thing that we had to discuss was about Davison Figueredo.
Yeah,
Figueredo
Figgy.
spoke about Cody
Cody.
Garbrandt. I didn't have a lot of pleasant things to say.
He never has anything good to say about anyone.
That is also true.
What did he say?
So
He talked about his chin, right?
yeah, so he basically spoke about Cody Garbrandt's mentality. I don't
Hmm.
remember the exact words, but he said uski mentality nahi hai.
Hmm.
Then he said that he's had so many losses and he's not in the right headspace to win.
Hmm.
And once I touch him, he's really going to feel that it's not his night.
By the thing is, it's really hard to disagree with Figgy on this one. As much as he likes to talk shit about every single fighter he fights. It's really hard to disagree with him. I mean, by Cody is just at this point in time. I mean, yeah, he did have a couple of decent wins इससे पहले, but लेकिन यार guys he's fighting man like you remember when you fought Kai Kara France I see
Yeah,
this fight going that way like obviously Figgy's volume is nowhere near Kai Kara France but at the same time it's the heavy hands that bothers
yeah.
Cody a lot bro his chin I believe is completely gone at this point in
And
his career and when you think about it even though Figgy is quite old Figgy is a lot older but he hasn't taken डैमेज लाइक कोडी हैज आई मीन कोडी ने जितना
that's
भाई कितने सारे वॉर्स में रह चुका है कोडी फिगी ने भाई उसका आधा भी नहीं किया है फिगी के सारे वॉर्स ही ब्रैंडन मरेना के साथ रहे हैं तो इट्स लाइक
Char.
वही
Hmm.
एंड
But
भाई
it also
Hmm.
reminds me of what Zombie said a few weeks ago. He said that once your chin
Hmm.
goes, it never really comes back completely.
True, true, true. Hmm.
And I mean, Figueredo has moved up a division because I think weight cut में issue आ रहा था उसको भी.
हाँ.
So
And his
they,
fight
they're
against Rob Font, bro. He looked
yeah.
so good against Rob Font, bhai.
So
Matlab,
good, so
Figgy
good,
was
bro.
sick against Rob Font, man. Like, and I think Rob fought Cody, I believe. Yeah, he fought Rob. Actually, fought Kobe.
He finished him with an
Cody.
elbow, right? If I'm not wrong. I
No,
think.
I don't think he finished Cody. I think it went to a decision, but he dropped Cody a lot of times. I guess. I think Cody took a lot of damage again in that fight. Let me just check quickly. I think it that's what happened in the fight. Yeah, it went to decision UD. Yeah, in 2021. Yeah, I remember that fight. Yeah. But that was also a
Um,
big that was also a big win in a way for Cody. I remember he was on a losing streak and got was getting finished in every single fight, and this was the first fight that he did not get finished in. So that was
not
a
get
moral
finished.
victory for him at that point in time.
That's
So
true.
इसलिए भाई मेरे को लगता नहीं है कि भाई अगर फिगी ने अगर एक बार कनेक्ट किया तो इट कुड बी नाइट नाइट फॉर कोडी.
It definitely could be, and I think even if it's not night, once that overhand right connects from
Hmm.
Figgy, then Cody's confidence could just get shattered altogether.
Yep, yep.
That
And I
would be
know what's
one.
crazy. You know what's crazy? This fight is like on the early prelims of the UFC 300, and not even like headlining the early prelims, but it's the first fight on the early prelims. Figgy was champ 2 years ago. You know
Yeah.
how crazy that is, and obviously Cody was a champ as well. Like even though it was 7 years ago, but still, I mean, these are big names, and just it just goes to show how crazy the entire card
How
is, man.
crazy the card
I'm so
is,
excited
man.
to go through all of the fights. We'll do a weekend video, a prediction video.
We will, man. Prediction video, and we'll have the other guys on as well. I think
Yeah,
even
for sure,
Ojasko might come on for the card.
for sure, for sure.
So, and
Looking
stay tuned
forward
on
to
the
that.
channel, guys. We're trying to upload regularly, and we might also do a reaction video for UFC 300. We might meet up for the fight, and we'll try to upload regularly. And do follow us on our socials. We're not that active on Twitter, but Instagram we're posting daily at Brawler Broadcast, the one with the yellow logo. You'll see it,
Hmm.
and you can see the entire social medias at the end of the stream. And it's been great, man, Ritik. It's been amazing.
Yep.
And let's meet in a few days for the predictions for 300. Yeah,
Yeah, bro, for sure, for sure. Looking forward to that.
looking forward, man. Looking forward. See you.
See you, bro.